This is the Coleman Atlantis AirJet large square inflatable hot tub. After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far. I have used a few inflatable hot tubs over the years, and I went into this one with the same questions most people have. Is it actually comfortable? Does it hold heat? Is it annoying to maintain? And does it feel like a real place to relax or just a big inflatable pool? This one is meant for people who want a hot tub at home without building anything permanent, and who have enough outdoor space for a square tub that is not small. If you have a patio, a flat spot in the backyard, or even a sturdy deck and you are okay with a setup that takes a little time the first day, it fits that kind of life. The main thing that makes it feel different from a lot of round inflatable tubs is the square shape. In day-to-day use, that matters more than I expected. With a round tub, people tend to bunch up and you end up playing footsies by accident. Here, I can take a corner and actually stretch my legs without constantly running into somebody. When I am alone, it feels roomy. With 4 people, it stays comfortable and everyone can settle into their own space. With 6 adults, it turns into more of a tight hangout. It works, but you are definitely sharing space. In person, it looks simple. The color is a neutral blue that blends in pretty easily outdoors. It does not look flashy, and I like that because it does not take over the whole yard visually. Once it is inflated, it also holds its shape better than I expected. The walls feel thick when you press on them, and it does not have that flimsy, crinkly feel that cheaper inflatables can have. When I lean back on the side, it stays supportive. It still feels like an inflatable, of course, but it does not feel delicate. The floor has a cushioned feel that makes a difference during longer soaks. It is not like sitting on a padded chair, but it is easier on your feet and it feels less harsh when you shift around or kneel for a second. I noticed that on the first night, because I tend to move around a lot while the water is heating and I am getting settled. Setup was easier than I built it up in my head, but I still think it is a 2-person job for the first move. Getting it out of the box, unfolding it, and placing it where you want it is the hardest part physically. Once it is laid out flat, the pump does the inflating. I like that it is one unit doing the inflation and then later handling filtering and heating, because it keeps the whole process straightforward. I did not need extra tools. I did not need to hunt around for adapters. I plugged it in, followed the steps, and it came to shape without drama. The part that takes patience is heating. If you are picturing setting it up and soaking the same hour, that is not how it went for me. It takes a while to bring a full tub up to temperature, especially if the water starts out cold from the hose and the air outside is chilly. Once it gets there, it does a decent job holding warmth as long as you use the insulated cover when you are not in it. That cover matters. Without it, you lose heat faster and the heater has to work harder. With it on, the water stays warm for hours in a way that feels practical for real life, like heating it in the afternoon and using it later that night. The cover itself is inflatable, and it has that trapped air layer that helps. It also keeps debris out. If you have trees nearby, you will appreciate that quickly. Leaves and little bits of stuff add up fast in hot water, and anything that keeps the surface covered saves you from more skimming and cleaning. For daily use, the controls are simple. The panel is right there at the edge, and it is easy to reach while you are sitting in the water. I can raise or lower the temperature and turn the bubbles on without standing up. That sounds small, but when you are already comfortable, it is nice not to get out and drip everywhere just to change a setting. The panel has held up fine with wet hands, and I have not had any issues with it misreading inputs. One thing I want to be clear about is the bubble jets. This tub has a lot of small air jets built into the bottom, and what you get is a blanket of bubbles and movement around your legs and back. It feels relaxing, and after a long day it takes the edge off. It is not the same as strong directional jets that dig into a specific muscle like some hard shell spas. The sensation is more like an even fizzing massage across your body. For me, it is enough to feel good and unwind, especially when I lean back and let the bubbles run for a while. If you want intense pressure on one spot, this is not that style. Noise is part of the experience. When the bubbles are on, the pump is louder. It is not outrageous, but it is not silent. If you are trying to have a quiet conversation, you will notice yourself talking a little louder. When the bubbles are off and it is just heating and filtering, it is much easier to ignore. Maintenance has been pretty typical for a hot tub, and that means you cannot ignore it. This comes with filters that twist in and out, and that part is easy. I check them regularly, rinse them, and swap them when needed. It also includes a floating dispenser for chlorine tablets, which helps keep the water steady without me constantly measuring and dumping chemicals. Even with that, if multiple people are using it through the week, you have to stay on top of water balance. If you let it slide, the water can get cloudy and you will spend more time fixing it than you would have spent maintaining it. Draining and refilling is the least fun part, and that is true for basically every inflatable tub I have used. It is not difficult, but it is time-consuming, and you need a plan for where that water is going. Once it is full, it is not portable in any meaningful way. You can move it around empty, but full of water it is staying put. So I would recommend choosing the spot carefully before you fill it, and thinking about things like privacy, wind, and how close you are to an outlet. I also paid attention to how it behaved in cooler weather. There's a freeze protection type of function that keeps the system from getting too cold, and in practice that gave me some peace of mind when nights dipped down. I still would not treat it like something you ignore during a hard freeze, but for normal shoulder season weather, it helped me feel comfortable using it earlier in spring and later into fall. The real ongoing cost is electricity. Heating a large amount of water outside takes energy, and you will see that reflected on your bill depending on how often you use it, how cold your climate is, and how diligent you are with the cover. I found it manageable by keeping the cover on whenever I was not in the tub, and by not constantly chasing the highest temperature unless I knew I was going to use it that night. If you run the bubbles a lot and keep the water very hot all the time, it will add up. After living with it for a while, the biggest strength is that it makes my outdoor space feel usable. I actually spend time outside at night now, even when the air is cool, because the water stays warm and the tub is comfortable enough to sit in for a long soak. It is also easy to share with friends without everyone feeling crammed, as long as you keep the group size realistic. The limitations are mostly what you would expect. It takes time to heat, you have to maintain the water, it is not something you casually move once it is filled, and the bubbles are relaxing but not a deep tissue massage. If you go in expecting those realities, it has been a solid, enjoyable thing to have at home. If you have any questions about setup, maintenance, or what it is like using it week to week, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews and practical backyard gear videos. Thank you for watching.